Welcome back to the Minto Report. Welcome YouTube back to the channel. Few days ago, I posted a video on this channel with a premise that sounds crazy, but just crazy enough to work. I asked, could Zorahn Mamdani turn President Trump into a communist or socialist? Let's look back at the facts. November 2025, Zorahn Mamdani wins New York mayoral race. November 21st, he walked into the Oval Office to meet President Donald Trump. We expected a clash. We expected Zorahn Mamdani to hand President Trump a copy of his father's book, Define and Rule, and lecture him on post-colonial theory. But guess what? I guess I was half right. However, Trump didn't start reading Karl Marx. Instead, it looks like Mamdani just finished reading The Art of the Deal. There is a but, though, which is not good for Mamdani's socialist philosophy. The Mamdani way of getting there, his socialist way, was to freeze the rent. But he is going to have to do it the Trump's way, the capitalist way, or a sound economic way, by increasing supply more than demand. And that is increase more housing more than tenants. And the price will go down if they have more housing than more than people who want housing. And that is how Trump killed two birds with one stone. Trump's signature policy of his control immigration just get a major win just by Mamdani accepting his way of bringing down the price of rent. Because uncontrolled immigration, no matter how you have rent prices under control, once you have influx of people that are not expected, then the rent will go right back up because you will have more demand than supply. You will have more people needing houses than what they are.
Of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there, the rent coming down. I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, he'd like to see.
So there you have it, just by Mamdani agreeing with Trump for both of them to work to bring down rent prices. He just conceded that he have to cave in on immigration. And here is the pivot.
The laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
Mr. Mamdani, what we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime.
So either of them want to see crime. So what's going to happen?
On that issue, he wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And you know, we actually people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Trump must be saying to himself, we love the mayor. He likes deal. When did Zorahn Mamdani become a capitalist killer? Was it after the election? Because in the election, this was the same guy who ran on decommodifying housing. What went wrong? He met in person the man who wrote The Art of the Deal. This man.
You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million.
Trump hates the liberal establishment, and Mamdani hates the liberal establishment. I predicted in my previous video that it's a MAGA-Socialist Alliance. But here is the uncomfortable truth Mamdain is facing. Either to run New York City under a hostile federal government. Mamdain had two choices. Stick to the socialist script, get defunded by DC, and watch the city crumble. 2. Speak the only language Trump understands, and that is leverage. Even though Trump is going to side with Mamdani because his love for his city, New York, but even Mamdani knows that also, although New York is Trump's city, but he is the mayor of the city now. But that pivot will come with a price for Mr. Mamdani, and here is the price he is going to have to pay.
I'm in the city council. I work with DSA council members, and I will tell you this. This guy's got a lot of answering to do when he comes back to New York, because he's got the DSA Linda Saussure types that are going to hold his hands over the fire for taking a meeting with Trump, let alone come out of it buddy-buddy. I think Trump was brilliant. I think Mamdani actually, we need the president, cannot move forward without,
What is the political price Mamdani will have to face from his constituents?
So he knows he's between a rock and a hard place. And this has always been the question about Zorahn. How is he going to navigate this? How's he going to appease the DSA? Because that's who he is clearly. And they stand behind him 100%. He's going to have a hard time explaining this to them.
No wonder Mamdani had this meeting in DC. Imagine if he did have this meeting in New York. There would be chaos. There would be demonstration. It would be out of control. So we have to give some credit to Mr. Mamdani. At least he is not a political novice when it comes to New York and their political feelings and their hatred for Trump. You can like and share this video until I do a next video. Peace, I'm out.